This week, playoff draw!
Hello,
and welcome to Rex Factor, where we have now reviewed all the Queen and Prince Consorts of England, from Ealhswith to Prince Philip, and now it is time for the playoffs. There were 19 consorts who won the Rex Factor, and they are going to be competing against each other to see who is going to be crowned the Series 3 Rex Factor champion.
19. How many were there?
About 60.
Well, a third then.
Yeah, about a third. One more than the English series, and obviously, frustratingly, one more or one too few, depending on what you want for a useful draw. Now, like we did in the first two series, we determine the winner by having playoffs, where we'll be pitting all of the Rex Factor winning consorts against each other. So, as per the title, this episode is where we're going to do the draw to decide who's going to be in what group, playing against who. We're also going to be explaining how the process is going to work, how you can get involved, and of course vote. And assuming all goes to plan, if you're listening to this, then do check the episode notes, our YouTube channel and various links, because we're also videoing it.
We are. I mean, you say we're going to explain. You're going to do a lot of that to me.
Yes, I'll do. Yes, the we is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Isn't it?
If you do watch the video, you see that Ali and I have come coordinated. Even to trousers, actually.
Even to trousers.
Can't see our trousers, but their trousers are the same colour.
The shoes aren't far off.
No.
Blimey.
And we're both quite colourful of socks. But
I've had my eye on some cords, you know.
Anyway, so you'll be able to watch us doing the playoff draw, and I'll be putting in, as well as just us, there will be some, I say graphics, pictures along the way to some stats and images of the consorts. And when we do the draw, I've got a secondary camera pointing at some cards down there, which you can't see there, but you will be able to see in the secondary camera. So Ali will be doing the draw in a little bit, when we get to time to that. Now, as ever, if you want to get in touch with us, let us know what you think about the draw, who you're supporting, who you think is going to win. Find all our social media links: X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, not so much Facebook these days. Email rexfactorpodcast@hotmail.com, or go to our website, rexfactor at rexfactorpodcast.com, and you'll get links to all of those things.
There's a lot of production values that are worth tuning in for here. This is I'm in a new world here. There's a lot of tech around me.
There's a lot of things to break.
And the most expensive one right at my elbow there. So that might be some lovely bonus content we'll get there.
I've even slightly blue tacked down the cards, because otherwise they go flying everywhere when you knock them.
Good point.
So we're going to be doing the draw soon. I'll be explaining the process first, but I think the first thing we need to do is reacquaint ourselves with who the 19 Rex Factor winners are.
Another we there, thank you.
The Contenders!
So, Ali, do you want to take us through the 19 Rex Factor winners?
Number one, there's Ealhswith, isn't there?
She was the first consort. Yes, you remember that from the start of the episode. She didn't get the Rex Factor, unfortunately.
God, I've been to start on a winner. Loves a pun. No.
Bit of a recap needed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ethelfled, Lady of the Mercians. Edgiva of Kent. Ealhswith. Emma of Normandy. Matilda of Scotland. Matilda of Boulogne. Eleanor of Aquitaine. Isabella of France. Margaret of Anjou. Elizabeth Woodville. Catherine of Aragon. Anne Boleyn. Yeah, it's Catherine Parr. Henrietta Maria. Caroline of Ansbach. Caroline of Brunswick. Prince Albert. Mary of Teck. And Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon.
There we go. Those are our 19 contenders for Series 3. Now, we're not going to go into great detail saying who they are in this episode. We'll leave that for when we get to them. But just a quick pressy for each of them, just so we've got an idea when the names are coming up, who they are. So, in chronological order, Ethelfled, Lady of the Mercians. She was the daughter of Alfred the Great, married Ethelred, Lord of Mercia, to form an alliance between Wessex and Mercia. Then, after her husband's death, she rules as Lady of the Mercians, wins many victories against the Vikings, helps helps to expand Saxon territory and is a key player in forming the English nation.
Okay. Surprising I forget that one. Never mind.
Eadgiva of Kent, the third consort of Edward the Elder, who's the son of Alfred the Great. Her significance really comes as mother, queen mother, to two of her sons that become king. She helps secure their succession to the throne and is then very influential, promotes monastic reform and patronises up-and-coming stars such as Dunstan.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, that's annoying that I remember her because of Dunstan. That's annoyed me.
And she becomes the first of only two queen grandmothers in English history.
Oh, Rex facts.
Ealhswith, she without the vowels, is a controversial consort for Edgar the Peaceable, the bête noire of Dunstan.
Oh, good. Right.
But the first truly powerful Saxon queen in her own right, a leading figure in monastic reform, one of Edgar's chief advisors, first woman to be crowned queen, actually crowned and anointed as Queen of England, fights a succession battle to have her son put on the throne and rules as regent for him for many years, as well as having quite a few blockbuster scandals against her name.
She sounds brilliant.
Emma of Normandy is queen to two English kings, the only person to do that, a Saxon and a Viking, Canute. She was effectively co-ruler with Canute, part of a North Sea empire, and then after his death she has to fight a succession battle with Canute's other wife, because he's a Viking, and son. So she has first a Viking son of hers and then a Saxon son that she helps to get onto the throne, and she defined her own legacy by commissioning a book, the Encomium Emi Reginae.
She does sound awesome as well. We've picked some good winners here.
This is a nice thing that we get to revisit these people that we haven't done for quite a few years.
Awesome.
Matilda of Scotland is the daughter of the King of Scots, but celebrated as an Anglo-Saxon princess. So her marriage to Henry I helped restore the Saxon royal line to England after the Norman conquest. She was a highly influential queen, often acted as regent in Henry's absence, and she was a noted cultural and religious patron who proved very popular with the people.
Popey people.
The Popey people. Public people, I wasn't sure which to go for.
Public Popey people.
Public Popey people. Matilda of Boulogne was consort to King Stephen, who was obviously a very unsuccessful king, but she kept him afloat for a number of years, governed Boulogne as countess in her own right, and when Stephen's reign nearly came unstuck during the anarchy when he was captured, Matilda literally rides to his rescue and restores him to the throne.
Awesome. I feel like much forgotten in amongst all the Henry II, Eleanor of Aquitaine stuff.
Well, and all the Matildas as well. Obviously, the Empress Matilda that she was up against.
That's who I meant. Yeah.
And she was the third Norman Matilda.
Was she really? Yeah. The difficult third album, isn't it?
Eleanor of Aquitaine, consort to Henry II, and of course the top-scoring consort, the top one of this series, previously married to the King of France, with whom she went on a crusade.
Yeah.
She left him for Henry and helps Henry become ruler of a vast Angevin empire, or of course, left of France. Imprisoned for 15 years by Henry after supporting a rebellion against him, but she then rules England on behalf of her son Richard the Lionheart and keeps the country together whilst he's on crusade and is then himself imprisoned.
So Robin Hood could have had Eleanor of Aquitaine as the person in charge rather than King John in all the adaptations.
Well, she had to stop John messing stuff about, so maybe she could have been an ally if we wanted to get her in there in some way.
Yeah, I want to get her in there.
But she does then help John, also her son, to the throne after Richard's death.
Dear.
Isabel of France, the consort to Edward II, she provided him with support in his conflict with the nobles over Piers Gaveston, but refused to be sidelined when he took on Hugh Despenser as a favourite, and she used her international links to invade England, overthrow her husband, with her ally Roger Mortimer, possible lover, then rules as regent for her son Edward III.
Right.
He then overthrows her, but she got to live quite a happy, comfortable retirement.
Good. I mean, that's a winner in the sense that I talk of.
Margaret of Anjou is the original she-wolf of France, stepping into the breach when her husband, Henry VI, proved incapable of ruling. And she takes the lead in the Wars of the Roses, so supporting the rights of her husband and son against the ambitions of the House of York, and at times is effectively ruler of the country.
Wasn't there something about a boat in that?
Yes.
Oh, that's I'm glad you're doing the summaries because that's all I've got on her.
I mean, I've got to say, there's quite a long period of English history where the consorts all come from abroad, in which at least at one point minimum there will be a boat.
There's going to be boats. Well, I mean, that's all you had to say to hook me in.
Elizabeth Woodville is consort to Edward IV, so she was a Lancastrian widow, but she met the king on the road and so beautiful and alluring that he decided to marry her, almost losing the throne. As a result, she presides over a magnificent Yorkist court, but also lives a life of high drama, twice is forced to go into sanctuary, to escape from her enemies, suffers the loss of most of her family, including, most notoriously, her sons, the princes in the tower.
Oh, yeah.
But she does survive the Wars of the Roses to see her daughter become the first Tudor consort.
Who was that?
Elizabeth of York.
Who was that?
Henry VII.
Okay.
Father of Henry VIII. Stroke
Indeed.
mother of Henry VIII.
So she's the grandmother of Henry VIII?
She's the grandmother of Henry VIII, maternal grandmother.
Tickle me pink.
Henry VIII's grandmothers are Margaret of Anjou and Elizabeth Woodville.
No. Well, hang on. How does that work? Who was Margaret of Anjou, the mother?
Not Margaret of Anjou, sorry, Margaret Beaufort. Margaret Beaufort.
Margaret. All right. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Still, yeah. On to Henry VIII now. The next three are the consorts of Henry VIII. First up, Catherine of Aragon, the daughter of two monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella, the founders of the nation of Spain. Many years happily married, Henry and Catherine. She was a very popular and effective queen, oversaw the defeat of a Scottish invasion in 1513 when she was acting as regent. But a failure to have a living son saw Henry seek an annulment, but Catherine's strong resistance means he has to wait 6 years before he's actually able to marry Anne Boleyn. And in the process, the country's turned on its head with the Reformation.
Yeah, that's... 6 years of him just getting increasingly angry.
Yes, you do see the after effects of that somewhat.
Yeah.
Anne Boleyn is the second wife of Henry VIII, effectively usurping Catherine, of course, by capturing Henry's heart and helping to find a way to get that marriage annulled after others had failed. She was also a key religious reformer, key figure in the Reformation, which sees England break from the Church of Rome, which is obviously one of the biggest changes.
Which the Popey people really
Which
like.
the Popey public people really don't like, indeed. Her remarkable rise was also, of course, matched by her remarkable fall, with her tempestuous relationship with Henry, failure to produce a son, seeing her become the first English queen to be executed.
Yeah, first one buried without a head.
Indeed. No, I think
really?
they're reunited in death, I think.
Oh, are they? Oh, right. I thought it's one of the things where you find it in like a university lecturer's drawer or something when he's trying to sharpen a pencil.
Catherine Parr is the sixth and final wife of Henry VIII, the second longest serving.
Really?
Bizarrely. And one of the most impactful. She restored his daughters to the succession, served as regent while he was out of the country and provided a sort of a model of governorship for Elizabeth I, and was also a key figure in the Reformation and published her own works. First English woman to do so in her own name.
She's awesome. I love her. But, we should point out Rex fact that nowadays we do have to say she didn't murder Henry VIII.
Spoilers.
How did he die?
Just sort of ulcers, chronic obesity, probably various other things going on. And wasn't a healthy man.
No, how old was he?
In his 50s, surprisingly.
Yeah, okay. That's the thing Rue always asks me these days. How did this person have it?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Henrietta Maria was the notorious wife of Charles I, deeply unpopular due to her active efforts to promote Catholicism, and she was one of the key factors in the outbreak of the Civil War.
Uh-oh.
She was also one of the major leaders in the royalist cause, raising supplies and troops and marching at the head of the army at one point.
Oh, wow.
Suffers the execution of her husband, but lives to see the restoration of the monarchy through her son Charles II.
He suffers it, doesn't he?
Well, yes, he suffered more, but... Caroline of Ansbach is the consort to King George II, a highly cultured and intellectual woman. She was an acolyte of the philosopher Leibniz.
Oh, I like this person, yes, I remember.
And she exerted great influence over her husband in an alliance with the Prime Minister Robert Walpole, the first Prime Minister, Robert Walpole. Very successful as regent for the country, a patron in art, culture and science, most notably promoting the smallpox vaccine.
Gosh, she might be quite an... I don't know why I'd say underdog, but in this,
horse.
but yeah.
Not one of the names that you jump to, but
yeah.
The major blot in her copybook was her bizarre hatred for her eldest son, Prince Frederick.
Yeah, but that's just what was done.
Yeah, it's just Hanoverians. Caroline of Brunswick was, despite his best efforts, the consort to King George IV, aka the last regent. Very much a failed marriage, so Caroline lives most of it scandalously in Europe, but when George becomes king, after a long time, and the death of George III, he was trying to stop her being queen, have the marriage annulled, so she came back to Britain in dramatic fashion, staking her claim to be the queen, and the trial of Queen Caroline was one of the most dramatic events of the era.
What was the trial for?
Adultery and that sort of stuff.
Okay. It wasn't like, can I be queen, please?
No.
Yeah, okay.
But the impact of it, the result was effectively, will she get to be technically queen or not?
And that was like Watergate, 9/11, all rolled into one for that era.
Yeah, it was a big
old thing. Was Napoleon around then?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he's dead by that point, but this is the Napoleon period.
Okay.
Prince Albert was consort, of course, to Queen Victoria, and although he was only alive for half of her reign, he had a profound impact upon it. Despite opposition, he achieved great influence in an effective co-monarchy with Victoria, promoting and overseeing numerous good causes and public works, most notably the Great Exhibition. And he helped to reshape the royal family into the model that effectively still exists today, with a focus on public works and being a sort of model family.
Gosh. Yeah. I mean, was that because... Oh, we'll get onto this when we do the actual episodes.
Mary of Teck was consort to King George V, played a key role during the First World War, throwing herself into a range of public works, helping to modernise the monarchy through royal visits, extensive patronage of charities and societies, and she becomes the Grand Matriarch for the Windsor dynasty, seeing it through 2 world wars, the abdication crisis, and also only the second Queen Grandmother in British history.
Rex fact.
Edgever of Kent.
And we're giving her more colour and background than she had at the time, which was just hot stuff.
I think you're thinking of Princess Alexandra of Denmark.
Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, consort to King George VI, possibly the most consistently popular member of the royal family during the 20th century. She helped George come to terms with being king after the abdication crisis, and then was a beacon of popular resistance against the Nazis during the Second World War. And she then had 50 years of widowhood, in which she was a very popular, busy figure as Queen Mother, tireless in her public duties and her alcohol consumption.
Oh, do we laugh at that these days? Probably not.
No, but with her, it was part of the fun. So those are the 19. Now, before we get on to the draw, a few little stats.
Yes, please.
To give you a sense of who everybody is. The top scorer of the series was Eleanor of Aquitaine with 82.5 points.
But that doesn't mean anything at this stage.
Scores don't mean everything, but equally, it was also only half a point ahead of Isabella of France. Got 82.
Well, she's quite a long time later, isn't she? No, Eleanor of Aquitaine. I was thinking of Catherine of Aragon. Okay. Isabella of France. Was her... No, she was the York person you told me about. Was the Roses?
No.
Oh, for goodness sake.
There's a problem of skipping out all the names in between. Margaret of Anjou and
Is the she-wolf?
Woodville. Well, the problem is Isabella and Margaret are both known as she-wolves.
Which is the one with the boat?
Margaret, I guess.
And who are we talking about?
Isabella.
Well, I don't know who that is.
She's the one that overthrows Edward II, Roger Mortimer.
Yeah. Okay, but I think I'm starting to form some sort of issue there.
I think we've got a problem. We've got 2 names in a row who are known as the she-wolf of France.
I mean, that's setting me up, isn't it?
Let's hope they're not in the same group. They could be. At the other end of the scale, different names. The lowest scoring Rex Factor winner of the series was Caroline of Brunswick, with just 38.
Was she the one that I said I like would be a dark horse?
No, that was Caroline of Ansbach.
Again, next to each other. And
Yes,
a Caroline.
2 Carolines right next to each other. But yeah, basically 38 compared to 82.5, so you can almost switch the digits.
What happened there? Did she not have kids or something?
Well, this is the thing. So things can look a bit different if you just look at the subjective factors, battling the scandal subjectivity. So if you just look at those ones rather than longevity and dynasty, which of course the factual ones that we don't rank on it just as it is, in that case you have Isabella of France and Ealhswith as the top scorers with 51, and Eleanor just half a mark behind on 50.5.
Oh, so still up there.
Still very much up there, but slightly different. Caroline of Brunswick, though, shoots up to 10th place. If you just look at the subjective factors with 36 points, whereas Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon goes to the bottom, just 22.5.
Because
she gets big longevity points.
Yeah.
Pretty good for dynasty. Other notable differences here, we've got Anne Boleyn and Catherine Parr. Anne is 9th overall with 57.5, and Catherine 16th out of 19 with 48.5. But you just look at the subjective factors, Anne jumps up from 9th to 4th, and Catherine Parr goes from 16th to 5th.
Yeah.
So married to Henry VIII, not going to have very long as queen, probably not going to have many, if any, children.
Yeah.
Can't really score very well there, but on the ones where she could do.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So we've got different ways of looking at it. Looking just by factors, Isabella of France is top scorer for battliness.
Yeah.
So overthrew her own husband.
Okay.
Pretty impressive stuff. There.
Yeah.
We'll remind you of it at some time. The only one to get a perfect 20 in the consort series.
Eleanor Aquitaine.
No, Isabella of France. For Scandal, we had quite a few with a perfect 20. So Isabella of France again, Eleanor of Aquitaine, Anne Boleyn, and Caroline of Brunswick.
I can understand Anne Boleyn. Why did we give Eleanor perfect score?
There was the rebellion against Henry II. There were rumours...
No, I don't mean Eleanor. I mean...
Anne?
Catherine of Aragon. Did you say that?
I did not say that.
Okay, fine. Right. Oh, my Lord.
This is Graham. There's so many names. And some of them are the same.
Is this really difficult?
Eleanor of Aquitaine, Isabella of France, Anne Boleyn, Caroline of Brunswick are the perfect Scandal scorers of this series. Who got
that
the
makes
Rex
sense.
Factor.
That makes sense, yeah.
Albert was the only perfect 20 for subjectivity.
Which also surprises me looking back.
But I mean, he was very big into subjectivity. I think it was just the sheer weight of stuff that there was for Albert.
That's all he could do, actually, at the time, wasn't it?
That's all he could do.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have done Scandal, but it wasn't his bag.
No.
Eleanor had the best longevity of the Rex Factor winners, so 41.9 years of queenship once you've done all the calculating of halving Queen Mother time. For surviving children, Prince Albert was top with 9.
Good.
Just ahead of Elizabeth Woodville, Caroline Ansbach with 7, and as you said, Eleanor of Aquitaine, the overall top scorer.
With how many?
82.5.
Oh, I thought you meant of children.
Oh, right,
Okay,
no. In terms of the Rex Factor winners as a group, they do on average outscore the non-Rex Factor winners.
Okay, so we've got there is some science here, isn't there? It's,
Exactly. It's what you'd want to see. So 15.84 for Battalionists for the winners versus 6.57 for the non-winners. So we obviously rate Battalionists highly. 8.18 for Scandal against 5.38. So not that big a Scandal
That surprises me.
series, yeah. 12.63 for Subjectivity versus 6.7 for the non.
better.
22 years or so for Longevity against 14. 3.26 children versus 2.45, an overall average 59.53 for the Rex Factor winners compared to 34.49 for the not winners.
Do that last one again, sorry, what was it?
59 points, so effectively 60 versus 35.
And so those who don't win the Rex Factor on average have the average number of children at 2.4.
Yes, exactly. The highest scoring consorts who didn't get the Rex Factor were Prince Philip with 71 and Matilda of Flanders with 69.
I'm not going to ask.
No, I think Philip at least.
Oh, Philip's fine, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
actually, Matilda of Flanders was the one that really had a boat.
Is that who I'm thinking of?
Maybe. She was the one that commissioned a boat for William the Conqueror and rowed it and was on the sort of prow of it.
No, that wasn't
showing
what I was
everything.
thinking about, but I was pretty sure that was Emma.
But that was a cool thing. Anyway, it is, of course, not all about the scores.
The elections.
So we've refamiliarised ourselves, or we've tried to refamiliarise ourselves with who the consorts are. How are the playoffs going to work, though? Well, if you've been with us for the previous series, you might have a pretty good idea of what we're going to do. But if not, this is what you need to know. 19 contenders, which, as I said, isn't quite perfect for having a lovely even number, but still, we'll do what we can. We're going to have 3 rounds of contests in the playoffs.
Okay.
Round 1 will have 4 groups of consorts. 3 of them will have 5 consorts in.
Right.
1 of them will have 4 because of the uneven numbers. From each group, the top 3 will go through to the semi-finals.
3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, that's
12.
nice.
So quite a few of them go through because it's nice actually not to lose too many of them too early because you've only just, getting back to see them again. And then in the semi-finals, 4 groups of 4. The winners of each group go through to the grand final.
3 groups of 4? What?
4 groups of 3.
Okay.
4 groups of 3, and then the winner of each goes through to the grand final,
Nice.
and then the winner will be determined.
What happens to the winner?
They will be offered the Rex Factor Series 3 crown if they care to come and collect it.
Okay.
We'll
Have to
send
marry Henry, I
yeah,
guess.
have to marry Henry, yeah. Which, if Eleanor wins, of course, is quite an easy arrangement. So that is the structure of how it's going to play out. In terms of how they win, we're continuing our use from previous series of an electoral college system.
Refresh me.
We have 3 electoral colleges. I am Electoral College 1. You, Ali, Electoral College 2. And the rest of the world is Electoral College 3.
That's quite a lot of power. For
It's quite a lot of power and
and
responsibility. So for each contest, the 3 colleges will rank the consorts in order.
Oh, great.
So like first, second, third, fourth,
Okay.
etc.
As long as I can operate mostly on gut.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
fine.
And we'll then combine those rankings to determine, or to combine those scores, I suppose, into a final ranking.
Okay.
And
I
then-
see. So, yeah. So an aggregate of all those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, for you and me, it's quite easy to do that because when we do each episode, we've got little cards and envelopes. Not today because we're not doing it today, but we
Right.
will do. So we'll just write it down, put it in the envelope, seal that, and then we won't open those until the results episode.
Oh, yes.
So I won't know how Ali's voted, you won't know how I voted,
Yeah.
and we reveal that in the episode.
And the public
results.
won't know how we voted.
And the public won't know either.
And you'll have already voted by the time they do.
Indeed,
Oh,
yeah.
this is flawless.
Now, for the rest of the world, it's a bit more complicated, of course, because you might have different opinions to each other. I mean, to be
dear.
fair, you might have the problem as well, but at some point you'll have to do a fixed list.
It will definitely be different when I open it up, won't
Yes, that certainly happened before, that the person who wanted to win the group on hearing it again was in last place in your own list.
it? Oh, gosh.
So for the rest of you, you will be voting via a link to a Google form. So you fill it in on a Google sheet. That will be in the episode notes. I put it on social media, on the website, loads and loads of places. You will also rank the consorts in order from first, second, third, fourth, etc. And I will then, when it's closed, download that data and do a sort of rank choice preferential voting thingy-bob to figure out each position. So the idea is that it's giving a good sense of the overall preference rather than a sort of first past the post where it's just who gets the most first choices, like they win.
Yeah.
So what it will be is you will have all your votes and we wait to get to the top person to have a majority. So if you have 5 consorts and no one gets to 50%, you eliminate the person in fifth, reallocate their votes, and you keep doing that.
How do you
until-
reallocate their votes?
So their
On their
second
preference.
place
Yeah.
would then
Okay,
go.
right.
And you keep doing that until you get a winner. Now, I was hoping to use a fancy website that does all of this for you, but it's more complicated because we need to know first, second, third, fourth, fifth. We don't just want to know who wins. And consequently, the way that those things work is really to give you the winner.
Right.
So I'm just going to have to basically do it myself, find out who the winner is, and then run it again for second place, and then run it for third, and run it for fourth, and run it for fifth. Because it could be that the person who comes fourth in the public vote, whether they're fourth or fifth, could make a big difference if you and I have put them higher up.
Might end up going right
So
up to
that
the
one
top.
point makes a difference. So it's not just, well, that's the winner, and then, they
Yeah.
fall wherever. So we're trying to get a good sense of it. Maybe I've made it more complex than I need to. Maybe there are better ways, but
I like that.
had to pick something, and that's what I've done. So that will all give us a ranked order for the rest of the world. And as we said, we combine that in our results episode with my votes and Ali's votes, and then we get the overall scores.
Okay.
Now, in the event of a tie in the final scores, the rest of the world's ranking will be the one given preference.
Nice. Okay.
In the highly unlikely event that when I do the preferential voting thingamabob, and that somehow comes out in a tie, which I can't see happening, but if it does... then
Swimming
this-
competition?
Swimming competition. The seeding, the original seeding, so the score, their overall scores they got originally would be the determining factor.
Okay.
I can't see how that's likely to happen with all of the stuff going on, but in case it does, that is how I would do it.
All right.
Now, in terms of the timescales and how long this is going to be running for, it's always a bit of a tricky balance between not having it drag on too long, but equally not going so quick that you just leave people behind and people don't get to be involved. So each vote will be open for 4 weeks after the episode has been released.
Okay, so you need to use this time to catch up. So
Exactly.
you have a good knowledge of your vote.
So each one will be open for 4 weeks, and we will then record the results episode the following Monday after the last vote has finished.
Okay.
So round 1, Group A, will be released next Friday, 31st of January, and the voting for it will close at the end of Friday, the 28th of February. So then round 1, Group B, would be released a week later, and thus its closing vote date would be a week later. So sort of staggered release dates, but you get the same amount of time for each group.
Okay.
So round 1 kicks off 31st of January, and the voting for Group D, which is the last one, closes on the 21st of February, and then the results episode comes out on the 28th of February. Semi-finals run from the 11th of March to the 23rd of April. We'll have an extra week off because there's half term.
Ah, lovely.
And then the results come out on the 6th of June. The grand final will be released on the 20th of June, and the voting will close on the 18th of July. So the champion of Series 3 will be revealed on the 25th of July.
Gosh, that's ages, isn't it?
It is, now I say it out. Yeah, so it's 6 months, I suppose.
What, does that mean we're just going to do loads of Rex flicks?
One a month, starting next month.
Is it? Oh, that's not far.
It's not,
Yeah.
exactly.
The draw.
So that's how it's all going to work. Before any of that can get started, of course, we need to make the draw. So this is part random, part seeded.
Right. Hence the colours.
Hence the colours.
Okay.
So we've got 4 top seeds, 4 second seeds, and then in the final group, 11 consorts in group 3. So in each group, as in when we do the group A, group B, group C, group D, we'll have 1 top seed, 1 second seed, and either 3 third seeds or 2 once we get to that last group.
Good shout.
Because of the uneven numbers. Now, the seeding is being done on the basis of the overall scores that the consorts received.
Yeah.
And any time we have a tie, which actually there were quite a few who got the same score, I've used the subjective score, so battling the scandal subjectivity, as a kind of tie break.
Okay.
And that doesn't produce any ties, which is quite handy.
Well, so you're giving that the weight.
Yes.
Okay.
So if they get the same overall score, I then say, right, who got the top score just for the 3 that we scored?
Yeah. Right.
Now we've got, hopefully this is going to work for the video, we're going to have different things we're going to be seeing. We've got different angles. So we've got another camera. So you wave your hand.
I'm waving my hand. You can tie that up to the audio. So
Exactly.
there's no
So
funny
we've very
business.
kindly produced some cards for us. So we've got gold for the top seed, silver for the second seeds, bronze for the third.
Very nice.
Top seeds, Eleanor of Aquitaine, Isabella of France, and then we've got Ealhswith and Emma of Normandy.
Mm-hmm. What? There's 4.
Yes.
Is that 4 you said?
Yes.
Okay. Long names.
Our second seeds, Prince Albert, Elizabeth Woodville, Henrietta Maria, and Catherine of Aragon.
Catherine of Aragon, second seed.
And only just. She was, bottom second seed. And finally, in our third group, we've got Anne Boleyn, Matilda of Scotland, Caroline of Ansbach, Mary of Teck, Matilda of Boulogne, Ethelfled, Lady of the Mercians, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, Catherine Parr, Edgiva of Kent, Margaret of Anjou, and Caroline of Brunswick.
It's mad hearing some of those names in a bronze position.
Exactly. We've got some big names in the bottom group. So even though we've seeded it, but as always happens, because it's not all about the scores, you might find one of your favourites is actually in the bottom group. That doesn't mean that they're going to be definitely going out. It might
not
mean
at all.
that the seeds don't necessarily reflect the position. So we could have some pretty big contests on our hands. There's a lot of power and responsibility in what you draw.
In this hand, my friend.
Because the route to the final is set out in advance. Again, I'll put this up on the screen. You don't have the benefit of seeing this now. But it's one of those where, like, the winner of Group A will go into semi-final A. Second place in Group A will go into semi-final B. And that sort of thing. So where they go, depending on their position, is predetermined.
Okay. It's just I'm getting football tournament pangs. When is it this year? No, it's not, is it? It's next year.
It's next year. I'll put that on a graphic, and that will become clearer once you start getting some names in the list, etc.
Okay.
So all it remains for us to do now, or rather for you to do, Ali, is to do the draw. So as I said, my mum has very kindly made these cards, which uses images that Rob from Totalis Rankium podcast makes for us, our episode images. And as I said, backs of each card are coloured so that we know the seeding, gold, silver and bronze. I have laid them out in colour, but I have also shuffled them, and I don't know who is where.
Oh, good.
So
Right.
they're not done. I mean, well, I suppose it's technically possible that they could be in score order. That'd be quite long odds, but I generally don't know who is where, so I can't influence you. You obviously don't know who is where. You probably don't even know who is in within each group. Never mind who is where.
I mean, I am the perfect randomizer.
You are, exactly. So neither of us know where they are. We just know their seeding. So, Ali, I am now going to let you do the honours. So what you need to do for each group, starting with Group A, we need a top seed, a second seed, and then we'll want 3 from the bronzes. So what you do is got a little bit of blue tack, so don't worry if there's resistance. Turn it over and then show it up to the camera.
Okay.
I'll show it anyway.
Which is he going to pick? Oh, we have Emma of Normandy.
So Group A, Emma of Normandy,
Okay.
4th seed. So that's our top seed for Group A, second seed.
Oh, I'm following the pattern here. Versus Prince Albert.
Prince Albert, I think is the top second seed.
Completely randomizing this now. Going in the corner. Look at that. Versus Matilda of Scotland.
Consort to Henry the First.
And now I want another one, yeah, for this group.
Yeah.
And Margaret of Anjou.
The one who may or may not have a boat in your mind.
Oh, and up against the person who you told me does have a boat.
No, let's not worry about that.
Okay, right, good.
And one more for Group A. One more third seed.
Well, I'll go down here. Look at this. Yeehaw! It's Catherine Parr.
Excellent. So, Group A, we've got Emma of Normandy, Prince Albert, Matilda of Scotland, Margaret of Anjou, and Catherine Parr.
I'm already getting that thing where I don't want any of those to go out. Like specific ones.
But it's got to be. I think this is going to be the hardest one, actually, the voting in this series. There's going to be some really tight battles.
Okay.
Group B, top seed.
This one. Eleanor of Aquitaine. She had to come up. Here she is.
She did the top seed.
Who is she going to be facing in the second tier of seeding is Catherine of Aragon.
Catherine of Aragon, top scoring wife for Henry VIII.
That's quite a battle right there, isn't
It's
it?
a big old battle, right?
No.
3 third seeds.
Anne Boleyn. Once again.
Wow.
The Battle of the Ages.
That's the one they wanted to see. We could have had all 3 of them, the 6 of us in the group, but we've had Catherine Parr, so it's not going to be Catherine Parr.
I nearly had him with my elbow there.
Edgiva.
Edgiva of Kent. Well,
It's a Saxon one. Tough draw for Edgiva.
Yeah. Another one?
And one more for Group B.
Most recent, Elizabeth Bowes Lyon.
So we've got one of the oldest ones to one of the newest ones. So Group B.
Oh, gosh, that is horrible, isn't it?
Eleanor of Aquitaine, Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, Edgiva of Kent, and Elizabeth Bowes Lyon.
Gosh.
Okay.
Okay.
Group C, top seed.
Top seed is Isabella of France.
Overthrew her husband Edward II, only half a mark behind Eleanor.
Really?
Yeah.
Golly. Okay.
Second seed.
Henrietta Maria.
That's Civil War, Charles I.
Mothers Lock Up Your Sons. It's
Nope.
Mary of Teck.
Okay. Very much misrepresenting Mary's.
Caroline of Ansbach.
Hands back.
Is she?
Hey.
Do you want another one?
I want one more from that one. Oh dear.
Oh no. It had to be Caroline of Brunswick.
So you've got Caroline A and Caroline B. So Group C, Isabella of France, Henrietta Maria, Mary of Teck, Caroline of Ansbach, and Caroline of Brunswick.
Quick, Caroline of Ansbach versus Brunswick.
Ansbach is the one with the good subjectivity stuff.
Yeah.
Brunswick is the juicy scandal.
Okay.
So we only 4 in this one, but it should be fairly easy for you to pick. Top seed.
Ealhswith.
Ealhswith. That's the Bête Noire of Dunstan.
Lady of the Mercians?
Not the Lady of the Mercians, but expect to see that name coming up.
Well, where's she on here?
That one.
Okay.
I wrote it a bit more phonetically.
Yeah, the only one.
Didn't help
one.
though. Did it?
Okay.
Second seed.
Elizabeth Woodville. The bishops fancied her, but so did the king. Matilda of Boulogne.
Son of Boulogne. Consort Stephen and the Anarchy, and last of all,
We have Ethelfled, Lady of the Mercians.
there she is. So that completes the draw. So to go through it again, Group A, we've got Emma of Normandy, Prince Albert, Matilda of Scotland, Margaret of Anjou, and Catherine Parr. Group B, Eleanor of Aquitaine, Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, Edgiva of Kent, and Elizabeth Bowes Lyon. Group C, Isabella of France, Henrietta Maria of France, Mary of Teck, Caroline of Ansbach, and Caroline of Brunswick. And then Group D, the smaller group, Ealhswith, Elizabeth Woodville, Matilda of Boulogne, and Ethelfled, Lady of the Mercians.
Golly. Well, it's done.
That is done. That is the draw. Any initial thoughts? Anything that jumps out at you?
Group B is horrible, isn't it? That's a group of death.
That is a group of death, isn't it? Now, I think to remember, of course, the top 3 in each group do go through.
Oh, right, fine.
So
next time it gets serious.
It gets more serious next time, the semi-finals, when obviously only 1 in each group goes through. But even so, as I said, the position that they finish matters because that determines which group they go into next and who they come up against. Group D, of course, you've got the advantage that all but one of them will go through.
Okay, well, yeah. That seems the easiest.
It seems easier, but actually, I don't know, they're all quite strong, that group. They're quite of a level almost.
They're all quite strong. This is it. I love this.
Correspondent's Corner.
So that was the playoff draw. It has begun. Let us know who you're backing, who you predict will get through or not get through in each of the groups. As we said, find all of our social media on our website, rexfactorpodcast@hotmail.com. No. rexfactorpodcast.com. You can email rexfactorpodcast@hotmail.com. Now, throughout the playoffs, we're going to be doing right to reply episodes to get your reactions to the draw, to the results of all the groups. But we're going to do those quite quickly to get them out the next week. So any thoughts, get them in nice and quickly, because I think we'll be recording, hopefully, we need to figure out the schedule thing, next Tuesday.
Cool.
So get your thoughts in, get your predictions in. Who are you backing? Who do you want to win? Who do you think's going out? Now, it's at this point I'd usually give a plug for people to join the Privy Council, patreon.com/RexFactor, where you get an ad-free version of the main podcast, as well as over 300 additional bonus podcast episodes. And obviously, I am doing that right now, as you can tell. But there is more on offer during the playoffs.
Is there?
There is indeed. In each of the 3 results episodes, we are going to be doing a random draw from each of the 3 tiers of our Patreon members.
Yes.
1 from the existing Privy Councillors, and 1 from people who have joined since the playoff started, which, for ease of argument, I'll just call the 1st of January this year.
Okay.
And every winner in each tier will be offered an optional 30-minute Zoom chat with us.
Optional? I don't think it should be.
Yes, we will come to your house digitally and demand a chat.
I want to talk with this Privy Councillor. I mean, it's their position, isn't it? That's what Privy Councillors do. They must counsel the...
We need an audience.
Yeah.
Yes. So you get the optional 30-minute Zoom chat with us. We also have an offer to send to you, again, optional if you don't want it, a Rex Factor animated show beer mat.
Oh.
Those of you in the Star Chamber will also be offered a lovely statuette of either Henry VIII or Mary Queen of Scots. On a sort of first-come, first-served basis, I suppose. Very kindly provided by Miles Kerr-Peterson, whereby the wooden base is made from offcuts from bagpipes.
Yeah.
Bagpipe factory, and is engraved Rex Factor.
I was sure these were wine stoppers.
Yeah, they're not.
No.
You
can stick a cork on the end, though,
I can't think of any, because you've got a Dunstan one, and that feels like an appropriate lead.
I've been smashing bottles with it for ages.
We also have 3 animated show mugs to offer to probably, I guess, special episode here, but we'll sort of see who wants what. Plus 3 small animated show Battliness t-shirts, and also a, I think, medium and an extra large. I can't remember if it's large and extra large, but a couple of Car Park King animated show
nice.
t-shirts as well. So we'll see sort of who wants what and whatnot. But anyway, all of those prizes are on offer. But not only that.
Oh, man.
When we get to the semi-finals of the playoffs, we will also be running a concurrent playoff just for Privy Councillors to award an honorary Rex Factor to those consorts who nearly but didn't quite get the Rex Factor.
To join in this?
Not to join in this, but just to get a kind of an honorary award at the end.
Nice.
So if you want justice for Ealhswith of Northampton, she was your George Foreman.
Oh, yeah.
That you didn't give it to her because she was George Foreman, and then decided you should have given it to her because she was
George Foreman.
Yeah. Matilda of Flanders, who was the boat one. Eleanor of Provence, Edward's mother. Eleanor of Castile, Edward's wife. Philippa of Hainault, Edward III's consort. Elizabeth of York, Henry VII's consort. Sophia Dorothea of Celle, sort of George I's consort, locked up in a tower.
Oh, yeah.
Max Boneyman.
Oh, yeah.
Or Prince Philip.
Who do I like most out of those guys? Matilda of Flanders.
Oh, and Isabella of Angoulême, I missed out as well, John's consort.
Oh, yeah.
So these are some of the ones that predominantly you said yes and I said no, because you said quite a lot in the series. But ones who either got a very high score or who were quite close to getting it, there was a lot of discussion around them getting it. So we'll be doing a draw for them when we get to the semi-finals, and then Privy Councillors get to vote for that as well. And whoever wins that tournament will get an honorary Rex Factor.
Nice.
But they don't get to be in the playoffs. But that's not it either.
What is going on, Graham?
As we're at the end of the series, we're getting a lot of questions about what we're going to be doing for Series 4.
Well, yeah, me too. I mean, I'm asking you.
Now, I'm hoping to sort of get a little bit more podcast life balance this year.
Good idea.
We're quite full on the last couple of years to sort of maintain the release schedule. So I decided I don't immediately want to embark on a very big, epic, intense fourth series. And as such, although it is probably the most frequently suggested option, not going to be doing the French monarchs
Whoa!
yet.
That's big Rex news.
However, we do want to do the French monarchs, and lots of people want us to do them, so I'm going to commit to say that Series 5 will be the French monarchs.
This is huge news.
So we're definitely going to do the French monarchs in Series 5.
We got to go to France?
We would have to go to France, of course. For every episode.
But we've got to go to that place anyway, haven't we?
Fontevraud.
Thank you.
Fontevraud Abbey. So that will be Series 5, French Monarch Series 5. Now, for Series 4, we're going to let Privy Councillors vote between two options.
Is this wise?
Well, it's wise in that I'm giving them the options.
Well, we know what this lot are like. We've met some of them.
We'll either be doing the Scottish consorts,
Yeah.
or we will be doing the nearly monarchs of England, so those who were in line for the throne in some way, but for whatever reason, fate intervened and they didn't get to do it.
So you could do that for the in-between, after, if we're still alive, after the French, you could have that as a little break
that
as well.
could be the other one, yeah. So the Scottish consort would be quite a good one for completionists, because we went English monarchs, Scottish monarchs, Scottish mongrels, English monarchs, Scottish monarchs, English consorts.
Yeah, I mean, I like that.
Scottish consorts. It's also an easy one for me because there simply aren't any named consorts for the first sort of 10 or so monarchs that we did.
Yeah.
So it's not a case of scrolling around looking for anything we can find. There just aren't the names. So we get to skip ahead to Macbeth's consort, Gruach, or Lady Macbeth.
Oh, right.
So the real life Lady Macbeth. And then you're pretty much at 1066. And Stuart's in particular really good because you get lots of early deaths and boy kings. So they are kind of regents for their sons. And are quite powerful.
Sounds quite a lot of work still. I mean, you're saying it's only 1,000 years.
Well, no, it's not 1,000 years. It's
Is it?
Well, it's less because, of course, we'd stop with James VI
yes.
and Anne of Denmark, like we've done previously, because otherwise we'd covered them.
And there's not
previously.
that much info on them compared to English ones?
Not as much info. So you really go up to James VI again, but obviously you've got Mary Queen of Scots' 3 husbands.
So we're doing 500 years.
Something like that, yeah. So it's quite an achievable one. It's sort of 25 or something like that, so it's quite a nice, easily manageable one.
Oh, okay.
So it is quite a nice stopgap one. That is also completing the thing that we've been doing.
So they live about 16 years.
Yes, 16 years each, which for compared to the Scottish kings is really good going.
Yeah.
For the nearly monarchs, this would let us cover some of the oft-occurring characters that crop up, but we never quite find a place to do them. So the Empress Matilda.
We haven't done her.
Well, we did a special episode on her, but in terms of the main podcast, we haven't done her.
Oh, justice for Tilly.
Lady Jane Grey.
No idea.
9-day queen.
Yeah, but you never tell me about her. Every time I ask,
Yes,
you get
yes,
really
that's true, yeah.
cagey about her. I won't let me know what she is. who
The
she is.
Black Prince, the eldest son of Edward III.
Something about John of Gaunt.
He's just got tarnished now. But previously, he was this big famous name, and now it's like, it's just John of Gaunt, isn't he? He touches everything. Henry the Young King, that's Henry II's
Yes, I'd like
eldest
that.
son, Princess Charlotte. It goes right from the Saxons up to Albert Victor, the eldest son of Edward VII. So older brother of George V dies.
Does he?
Yeah, in fact, like weeks after he was engaged to Mary of Teck, who then just married his younger brother instead.
Gosh, like Henry VIII.
Like Henry VIII,
Yeah.
indeed. So there's lots of those, and there's lots of really great characters who either were the eldest son or daughter, but fate intervenes, or were staking a claim for the throne. So I guess Matilda was the eldest daughter, but like Lady Jane Grey, is the Louis, the French Dauphin that invades in one point.
Oh,
was
yeah.
recognised.
I like it. I like it a lot.
So Series 4 will be Scottish consorts and nearly monarchs. So if you join the Privy Council, or if you're in the Privy Council, you get to vote, you get to choose which one we do.
That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
And that is it from us today. So our next episode, next week, will be the first of the playoff matches with Group A. So Emma of Normandy, Prince Albert, Matilda of Scotland, Margaret of Anjou and Catherine Parr will be up.
Brilliant.
For the
One of them has to go.
Two of them have to go.
Two of them have to go.
So please make sure, keep listening, stick with us, do vote, join the Privy Council, and it
Nice.
begins.
Thanks, G-Man.